Oh, anybody feeling like garbage today? I know I am. And let me tell you something. It feels fan-freaking-tastic. Of course, we're going to talk about that line, Biden's garbage line. Think of the deplorables line, and you put it on steroids, because that's really what this is. And it's fantastic. And I'm going to tell you exactly why you should celebrate this. Are you mad? Are you mad, bro? Shouldn't be. None of us should be. We should be celebrating this. You're going to think it's a little bit of a stretch right now, but I think in time you're going to understand why exactly you should be extremely, extremely happy about this. About affecting the election? I don't know. Who knows? Nobody knows. That thing is a crapshoot. I have no idea. But I'm talking about what that dementia brain said last night, being a huge personal win for everybody, not just people that vote like you or think like you. We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about the thing that nobody's talking about this morning. There's another little side byproduct benefit. Kamala's closing argument was last night. Did you know? No one's talking about that. Completely blown off the front page. And that's another good thing. We'll get into this, too. Last night was a World Series mugging of a player in the stands at Yankee Stadium. Boy, that was something. As it turns out, it was like a $2,000 mistake, too, for both of those knuckleheads. And it's another reason to be happy today. It's National Candy Corn Day. I know, that's a tough argument. I actually love it. Let's get to the news, what really matters. Thanks for finding Wicked Radio with me, Bill. I appreciate it very much. Put your notifications on for when we go live. If you follow me, and then this lives as a post later on for the replay, audio version, audio podcast out there, wherever you get them, all the platforms. But more importantly, let's talk about what may or may not change the election, but it may change your personal life. Here's Joe.
They're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization is seen as unconscionable.
Okay, background. Obviously, they put him out there in a campaign, pre-recorded, by the way, a campaign video to help Kamala close the deal. Well, you know what it was, and they tried to politicize it again. The throwaway line of the comedian at the Madison Square Garden rally that they picked on, trying to spin it again, that the comedian, and therefore Trump somehow magically, was calling Puerto Ricans garbage, because that's what they try to do. But Joe, being Joe, of course, the filter was off. We'll get to that in a second. And wound up calling anybody that votes for Trump or doesn't go with the accepted narrative garbage. He said it, and he meant it for sure. Now, why do I say he meant it? Sadly, a lot of us have dealt with this, not to make fun of Joe. Well, I will, because he's a public figure and he says things like that and he insults other people, so I don't feel bad about insulting him, but I would never insult somebody that's going through obvious stages of dementia, right? One thing we know, if you've ever dealt with this in your family, and I have, I think a lot of us have, the filter is off with them. And what I mean by that is you can try to put him in front of a teleprompter. When he goes off of that, they will always tell you what's really in there. You know what I mean? When they say it, they mean it. And he means it. And came out with a statement like an hour later, of course, because the Kamala campaign was freaking over this on the night of Kamala's closing argument, closing with a K, I think. And they tried to backtrack off it, of course, whatever. No. When they say it, they mean it. That's exactly what they think of everybody that doesn't vote for them. And the scary part of that is, of course they mean it, and of course they would go after anybody. Now, the real threats to them, the Steve Bannons of the world, Peter Navarro, Trump himself, to try to go after them. But everybody else, everyday regular Americans, if you don't follow their party line, the accepted party line, of course they would try to censor you. Of course that's coming down the road. When they say it, they mean it. Here's the spin this morning, and I'll get to why this is a great thing in just a second, I promise you. Here's the media spin. Let's see how this is going. Well, let's go to the Washington Post this morning before Bezos cracks down. Here's their line this morning. Trump campaign clash. Trump and White House campaign over whether Biden called Trump supporters garbage. Well, there's no clash. It's on video. He said it. There's the first bit of spin. Here's Politico. Wow, no bias there. Biden at a Zoom call said the only garbage was the hatred of Trump supporters who said such things about American citizens. No, there's no No, he said Trump supporters are garbage. We all know that, obviously. And there's a White House statement and all this other stuff. That's what they really think. Now, you're going to think this is a stretch. I promise you guys, I promise you should be celebrating this today. You absolutely should be. Now, you're thinking, why, Bill? That's kind of a stretch. I'm kind of mad about this. No, that's fine. You should be too. This is why. We're now on years of having to deal with people, the brainwashed, low IQ people. They're all in our lives. They're at work, whatever it is. They're in your social group. You got to deal with them. You've never quite known how to respond to them. Now for years, when they will say things like this to you or me, how could you vote for that felon, that criminal, that race, that Nazi? How could you, blah, 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 blah. And what would we all try to do, right? You try to prove the fact, well, actually, I think his policies work. We've already seen 4 years of that. I think economically we did well. What kind of response do you get when you say that? When you try to bring them facts? Huh? I'll give you a second to think about it. Because I'll tell you what I get. That's all you get. And they talk over you, and they can't, the cognitive dissonance people like that have, they can't deal with facts. So you'll try again. How can you deal with that felon? Well, actually, it was a weaponized justice system of a crooked prosecutor that went with him. And what's the response? That's what you get. Well, those days are over, my friends, and this is why you should celebrate the garbage comment. Next time anybody, and I mean anybody, says to you or tries to question how you vote, what you support, what you do, here's your line. Here's your line that Dementia Brain, Mush Brain just gave us. How can you vote for that horrible person? This is all you say, and you leave it at this. I'm voting for the guy that did not call me garbage. And scene. That's it. That's all you got to say. And they're not going to be able to deal with it because the fact is there. It's a devastating line to give them, and you should feel great about this. Sure, it's unifying for everybody that doesn't go with the party line. Oh, you're a horrible person if you don't vote this way, because that's what they're telling you. But now you got ammunition. This is why you should be celebrating this. It's all I really try to do. You know why I call this little experimental live stream that we do here in the podcast Wicked Radio? Because we're the wicked. If you don't go, this is where we are this day in society. Talk about social commentary. If you don't go with the accepted, push down party line, you know what party we're talking about. If you don't vote a certain way, post a certain way, you're considered garbage. You're considered the underclass. You're considered wicked. That's what it is. So this is how you fight back. Exactly like this. You take what they say about you, and you turn it into a win. And that's why, my friends, that's a great thing. And I know it's kind of it's a tough sell. I get it. I think in time, you may be agreeing with me now. You may be, but I think in time you're going to see that. Anybody can listen, there's 1.5 million people with political opinions or news opinions or whatever, but they kind of leave it at that. It's like, here's what I think. All I try to give you, that's all I try to do is, okay, here's what's going on, I think, in the world, in society, but here's how to deal with it. Here's some motivation, and here's how you deal with it. And what he said last night gave us a shining, beautiful example of how to deal with that. Man. Does it affect the election? I don't know. Who the hell knows? That thing's a crapshoot. I mean, and literally anything can happen in less than a week now. I have no idea. But what's changed is we're all starting to learn on how to deal with this stuff. You want to call us garbage? You want to call anybody that has a differing opinion some sort of an underclass wicked? We'll take it, and we'll use it, and we'll win that way. All right, Trump's reaction. This was kind of wild last night. I think at the rallies, it would have been really cool if he got more breaking news on stage. It's kind of cool to see. It's happened a couple of times. Last night was the biggest. When Trump reacts in real time to news that just broke. So he was speaking in, I think it was Allentown, Pennsylvania. And Marco Rubio was there with him, trying to sell the deal. And Marco brought the news on stage to Trump that Biden just dropped the garbage line. It's pretty wild to see Trump's reaction, which is, pretty typical, I guess.
Remember Hillary? She said deplorable. And then she said irredeemable, right? But she said deplorable. That didn't work out. Garbage, I think, is worse, right? But he doesn't know. You have to please forgive him. Please forgive him, for he not knoweth what he said.
Yeah, true.
These people, it's terrible, terrible.
There's truth in that, but like we just said a couple of minutes ago, yeah, I know. I don't think he was like, Joe's not all there. Let's just be honest, right? Let's be frank about that. But again, not being all there, part and parcel of that is your filter is off. He means it. He may not know he said it, but he means it. It's in there. You can't make that up. That's how they think of you and me and everybody else. And that's why we're going to use it. Garbage, deplorables. Well, they're not calling us Nazis anymore. At least we got that. What we're not talking about, and nobody is, don't feel bad, Kamala's closing argument. It was supposed to be last night. This is why they're so mad. This is why they're so livid at Joe. Kamala's big closing argument. It was everything you expect. It was all the lies. You know, and politicians do this all the time. They'll always spin the truth. They'll always stretch the truth. In my lifetime, through a few of these, I've never seen a campaign like theirs where they flat out just lie. I mean, it's the exact opposite of the truth. Here's a little shining example of that one.
Politicians have got to stop treating immigration as an issue to scare up votes in an election.
Oh, is that what we're doing? Okay. All right.
And instead, treat it as the serious challenge that it is that we must finally come together to solve.
Could have done that in the past 4 years, but that's okay, you know. And then talked about the border thing, and it was all the typical lies. It was all the crap that's out there, you know. And listen, Trump throws out a lot of hyperbole too, but a campaign that actually throws out flat out, like identifiable lies like that, I've never seen anything like that. It was about the project. Of course, she throws up the Project 2025 thing, lie. National abortion ban, lie. Trump killed the border bill, that was a lie. All of it, all expected. But again, the big takeaway, and the reason why they're so livid at Biden was that no one is talking about her closing argument. This is like a big deal for campaigns for these politicians, right? And no one's talking about it. All they're talking about is garbage. Wow. How about that? Now, I have heard some theories. I would love to believe this myself, I would, but I don't think he's capable of that. Have you heard this too? Somebody's going to bring this up and see the reaction at work today. There's a theory out there that Biden, specifically Jill Biden, hates Kamala so much that he did this on purpose. Listen, I'd love to believe that. I don't think he's capable of that, but that would be amazing for, you know, pushing him out of the way in a little coup, because nobody gave her any votes. They just kind of pushed him out of the way. It's fun to think about, and I'm thinking about it too, but no, I don't think that actually happened. So, again, I just want to repeat. They call you garbage? Good. Now you have your closing line, and I do too. How can you vote for that felon? I'm voting for the guy that didn't call me garbage. And scene. And you walk away. All right, here's what else happened last night. Boy, I've seen stuff like this happen at baseball games, you know, live in person. You see it on TV every once in a while, but holy crap, this is a little bit much. So I tuned into the World Series last night in Game 4, the Yankees and Dodgers. Yankees won, so it's 3-1 now. It's in Yankee Stadium for Game 4. And Mookie Betts of the Dodgers goes back, catches a foul ball in the stands, and he got mugged by a couple of fans. Now, there's always like fan interference, and people are trying to get the ball, and they're trying to, you know, help or whatever. I've been watching baseball my whole life. I've never seen this one, where fans actually grabbed a hold of his arm, reached into the mitt, and tried to grab the ball. That's a new one for me, and I've been watching sports for a long time. Here's the reaction for the Fox announcers. Pretty wild.
And yeah, Betts has that ball in his glove, and this fan literally tries to take his glove off. Pries the ball out of there. A for effort.
Well, he won't be watching the game much longer.
And he wasn't, because this happened. I kept on watching. I didn't have a lot of interest in the game, but I kept on watching, and you may have too, because we're all asking the same thing. Well, are you going to throw the fans out? And they did pretty quickly. So I give Yankees stadium staff credit for that. There's a rumor floating out this morning that they've been banned for life from Yankee Stadium. That I don't believe, but I do believe this. People looked up on StubHub what the going, I don't know what they paid, but the going market value of their seats were and are. 2 guys got tossed out because they were both like grabbing Mookie's arm. Yeah, give me the ball. $2,000. Market value of $2,000 for each of those seats for where they were sitting in the right field corner. That's a $4,000 mistake right there. Just stand back and let. Yeah, I get it. You wanted to interfere because it wasn't your team catching the ball. Would you make that mistake at a game? If they're paying $2,000 per ticket, maybe they can afford it. I don't know. Who the hell knows? All right. Let's get out of all that stuff and talk to what's really important. You know how every day is a national day? Well, today, my friends, I can't even say this with a straight face. I know it's a tough sell. I'm trying to convince you that Biden calling us garbage is a tough sell. But that's true. This one, I don't even know if I can sell you on this one. It's National Candy Corn Day. Now, I'm weird. I happen to like candy corn. I know it's a sickness. I don't understand why. I have no idea why I love candy corn. I do. I actually do. I think that I'm not alone, though. In fact, the candy corn, Brock's makes most of the candy corn. You know what they say? I can't be alone. There are 35 million pounds, it says right here, of candy corn. That's 9 billion individual pieces sold every single year. So you can't tell me we're alone. It might be one of the biggest hidden secrets in America. Nobody, you know how it used to be that, and this changed, like nobody would tell you who they vote for, and they certainly wouldn't tell you before now that they were voting for Trump. Nobody admits that they like candy corn. I'm on here admitting it right now, so I'm caught dead to right, but somebody likes it. You don't sell that many millions of pounds of candy corn every single year without people liking candy corn. I know it's not popular to like it. I always have. But even I learned something new about candy corn today. Did you know they have a jingle? I had absolutely no idea.
Sing with me. If you love it, say Bronx candy corn. Bronx candy corn. If you love it like me, just help me sing.
All right, you may not like candy corn. I can't sell you on that. But that's going to be stuck in your head at least some point today. All right, let's get out of this. Again, what's our takeaway? Celebrate the fact that you've been called garbage and use it, because this is a great personal win for all of us. Celebrate it. Don't get mad. It's a win. That's your first takeaway. And the second takeaway should be, thanks for finding me. I appreciate it as always. If you follow me on X, just put the little alert on for when we go live every single day, 8 a.m. for Wicked Radio. And it lives as a post later on. It's on YouTube as well, but the audio podcast, wherever you get them. All right? Thanks for hanging out. We're getting closer and closer. But feel good about the news. That's how you can use it. So feel good about being called garbage. That's our first takeaway. And the second takeaway, as always, and this is our constant, don't ever take any crap from anybody. Thanks for hanging out. Have a wicked awesome day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.